This is Abdullah Kashmula, class CIS 274 XML programming, and this is assignment for week 7. For this week, we were supposed to make an XML schema definition file for our XML file. So this is my XML file, and I kept my data type definition file. I only added to it the XML schema definition over here, and of course it's a local file, so I needed to add this line to it. At first I have problems because it was very long, and you can see it in here. This is my XML file. It gets kind of long, and we have a lot of spaces because it's not like the data type definition where it's a lot shorter, and even though the DDT does not really go into details, but more like it shows just the which one is list, which one contains the data. But this one, actually, we have to specify what kind of list, what kind of data that we have inside each element, and when does the sequence start, when does the sequence end, and whether it's a complex type or just the normal type or just a normal element. Also, another problem that I have faced is that when I was trying to validate my data, I was having a problem because I did not add this to the element in the beginning. It was always giving me an error over there, and I did not really know what that error is. Other than that, because how many elements I have to open and close, it was kind of confusing to see where is the end and the beginning of each element, so I had to make the spaces a little bit bigger so that I can actually see if this is the end or the beginning of that element. Of course, I had to look also to my XML file all the time to see where I'm progressing, whether for example, I'm opening this element and closing it, opening this element, closing it. Then I hit a list, so I have to say a complex type and sequence, and this sequence contains different element. Each one of these is string. I also saved my dates. Let's see if I have a date on anyone. No, these aren't videos. And type one paragraph. No. For example, the year, that was an integer. Rather than having it as a date, I didn't know how to format it as a year. So I'm not quite sure, so I just put it as an integer, and that actually worked for me. Now to validate the file, and take this out of the way, and this is the site that I use for validation. So when we input a file, for example, this is my XML file, which is the original file. So we say validate. This is how I check for all the errors and see how I correct them usually. Well, it doesn't really give me feedback of how I correct them. No, that's the DDT. It doesn't show me how I correct them. It just says there's an error in there. Sometimes it might say that there's something is missing or you need to add something. And it shows no errors. Usually there is a feedback of where exactly in the document the error is.